Hi, welcome Upward Bound to Algebra Day 4. Today we're talking about exponents. What do we do with those wee little numbers up there? So there are 8 rules of exponents. Rule 1 is called the zero exponent rule. The zero exponent means any number, absolutely any number raised to the 0 power is equal to 1, except for 0, which is not defined. So anything to the 0 equals 1, right? For example, 4 to the 0 equals 1, but so does 2500 to the 0 equals 1. Rule 2 is the negative exponent. A negative exponent indicates the reciprocation with the exponent of the reciprocal becoming positive. It essentially says, pick me up and move me. So a to the negative n is equal to 1 over a to the n. The negative says, pick me up and move me. 3 to the negative 2 is 1 over 3 squared. Or 1 over 4 to the negative 3 is 4 to the third. Rule 3 is the product of like bases. Product of like bases means to multiply the powers with the same base. You add the exponents, keeping the common base. So a to the m times a to the n is really a to the m plus n. Example would be 2 to the third times 2 to the second is really just 2 to the fifth. And if you calculate that out, that would be 32. Rule 4 is the quotient of like bases. With the quotient of like bases, to divide powers with the same base, you subtract the exponents and keep the common bases. A to the m divided by a to the n is really a to the m minus n. So 3 to the fifth divided by 3 to the third is really 3 to the 5 minus 3, which is 3 to the second, which is 9. A power to a power means that you raise a power to a power. You keep the base and you multiply the exponents. So a to the m to the n is really a to the m times n. An example would be 2 squared to the third is really 2 to the 2 times 3, which is 2 to the 6th, or 64. Rule 6 is product to a power. Product to a power means that you raise the product to a power. Raise each factor to that power. So a times b to the m is really a to the m times b to the m. Essentially, you distribute the exponent. An example would be 2 times 3 squared is really 2 squared times 3 squared, or 4 times 9, which is 36. Rule 7 is the quotient to a power. Raising a quotient to a power, you raise the numerator and denominator both to the power. Again, it's essentially distributing the exponent. A over b to the n is the same as a to the n over b to the n. So 2 over 3 squared is really 2 squared over 3 squared, or 4 over 9. Rule number 8 is the rational exponent rule. The rational exponent rule says the denominator of the rational exponent becomes the index of the radical, and the numerator becomes the exponent of the radicand. Numerator is the power, denominator is the root. So a to the x over y is the y-th root of a to the x. An example would be 2 to the 2/3 power is the cube root of 2 squared.